Okay, this short video is on the topic of 3.1 marketing, and I'm going to cover the subjects of marketing, market segmentation, market research, the marketing mix, also known as the 4Ps, the product life cycle, market mapping, the Boston matrix, branding, and differentiation. So we're going to start off with marketing. So let's think about what marketing is. So marketing is a process of anticipating and identifying and meeting needs of a customer, obviously in a profitable way. Businesses aren't going to want to do that unless there is some profit in it for them. However, if marketing is done in an effective way, it will allow a business to reduce the risk of product failure. It will allow them to understand their customers and communicate with them effectively, and it can help them keep up to date with current market trends. We also looked at market segmentation when we were in year 10, and market segment is when you're not looking at the whole market, i.e. the whole of the general public. You're actually going to segment it down to a particular type of customer. So for example, you might have customers of a particular age that you're targeting your products to, or they might be of a different type of sports that they like doing, or varying incomes. And basically, a market segment is a group of customers in a market that have got similar characteristics and needs to each other. Now, why would a business want to promote and target its products just to a small segment? Well, it's a lot easier to actually make money if you try and target a market segment, because it allows a business to carry out market research which is very tailored, so that you can actually find out exactly what customers want and be able to respond to their needs. And you can target your product at those particular people through promotion. It's so much easier than trying to come up with a product and trying to push it onto the mass market. If you appeal to a small market segment, you're more likely as a business to be more successful. So in order to do that, you need to do some research. We've spoken about market research. It's the process of gathering information about customers and competitors, and also market trends. Now, this could be done by collecting primary research, which would be research that you as a business have collected yourself, or it could be done as secondary research. So that's information and data that is already out there. So secondary research is things like sales statistics, bit of internet research, perhaps local newspapers, also government reports that come out, and quite often it's very useful for quantitative data, and this is data that can be expressed in numbers or statistics. Very, very quick to get hold of, normally quite cheap, quite convenient. However, the downside is it's information that might be out of date. It might not be particular to your customers' needs, because it's just very general information. So many businesses like to do primary research, and this is where they collect information that hasn't existed before. It's very specific to their business needs and what their customers' needs are. It tends to be very up to date, tends to be accurate. Can be expensive to obtain, but to be honest, most businesses, if they do it in an effective way, it's worth that extra cost. So you might, as a business, want to conduct some surveys or have a focus group. And a focus group is when you get a group of people together and you might ask for their opinions and their attitudes about particular products. You might want customers to fill in questionnaires. Or actually, you might want to do an observation on the customers. The customers might not even know you're watching them, but you can learn a lot from watching consumer behaviour. For example, in a supermarket, which bread have they gone for? Do we find that some customers are coming in at a certain time of the day, for example? So you can learn a lot about consumers just by observing them. This is very useful for qualitative data, and qualitative data is about opinions and judgments and really why people bought products. So that's those top three done: marketing, market segmentation, and market research. We're now going to look at the marketing mix, also known as the 4Ps. So the marketing mix, it's a combination of factors that help a business to take into account when it's selling to a customer, the price, the product, the place, and how it's going to promote it. And ideally, the marketing mix needs to be balanced. One P is no more important than the other Ps. We're going to start by looking at the product. Now, the product obviously has got to meet the customer's needs. If it doesn't meet the needs of the customers, it's not going to be very successful. But not only that, you need to think about who are you going to target this product at, what are the ingredients going to be, how is it going to stand out from the crowd, has it got a unique selling point, for example, has it got a recognisable brand. So what is the product basically, how does it work, are people going to like it? Then we're looking at price. Now, price is quite an interesting one. You would think that if you have a low price, more customers would buy the product. Well, generally speaking, that does happen. But you have to be really careful that you don't price it too low, that customers actually think that it's very cheap quality. So it's a very careful balance of having the right price where you make a product, the right price that you attract enough customers, but also the right price that gives the indication of what type of quality of the product it is. So here we're looking at perhaps branded products. They tend to have a higher price, not necessarily because they are of higher quality, but because customers are happier, generally speaking, to pay a higher price for a branded item. Now we're going to look at place. Now place can be retail, which is down the high street. It can be wholesale, which is somewhere like Macro, or it can be online, of course, on the internet. It's all about basically where a business is going to place its product so it's available to customers when they need it, whether that's sending it through the post to customers or perhaps direct to customers. Avon, makeup company, they literally leave these little catalogues through letterboxes, and then they take an order and they deliver the order in a day or two. That's what we call direct selling. So it doesn't really involve the internet. It doesn't involve a customer having to go into town. It's literally knocking on their door and selling the products face to face. And then finally we got promotion. Now promotion isn't just advertising. Promotion can be having a strong brand, or perhaps having a buy one get one free, or perhaps having a very strong online presence. So basically it's telling a customer that a product is available and for sale. Right, so that's the marketing mix, the 4Ps done. Now we're going to look at the product life cycle. And hopefully you will recognise this diagram here. Every product, just like a human being, will have a lifespan. You'll have a product that is launched onto the market, and then hopefully, if it's successful, it will go into the growth stage. It might not yet be making a profit, however, but when it gets to maturity, that's when lots of customers are buying it, they're continuing to buy it. It might then start becoming less popular and eventually turn into decline. So it's a real challenge for businesses to continually want customers to keep buying the products. So we have to come out with what we call extension strategies, and these are methods that are used to increase the life of a product and to try and prevent it falling into decline. So it could be that we have new flavours added. It could be that we change the packaging or even change the size. It might be that we look at selling the product at a different market audience. So for example, Lucozade used to be a health drink originally. Now it's known as an energy drink. So the people that are being targeted are sports people, or people basically that like energy drinks. So we're going to talk about product trial, and that's where you get customers to try a product for the first time. You might use methods to get them to try your products, things like advertising or free samples, perhaps having a campaign on Facebook, or you might have very low pricing that makes a customer want to actually try a product for the first time. and then you might want to put the pricing up later on once you've got lots of customers, but it's certainly a way of actually enticing customers in to try your products. And then hopefully, if they like your products, they'll repeat purchase. They'll come back again more than once. And the nice thing about that with this customer loyalty is you don't have to advertise as much because you've got the customer that likes your brand and they just keep coming back for more. And hopefully they might recommend to their family and friends as well. Most businesses aim for repeat purchase because it's so much more efficient and time consuming. And in order to do this, you might have to have things like a customer loyalty scheme, or you might have to have special adverts to remind customers that products are there, but it's certainly something that all businesses aim for. We're going to move on to market mapping now. So market mapping is, ignore that word brand, we'll come back to that in a minute. Market mapping is this diagram that can be used to compare positions and position products to see if there's a gap in the market. So a business will look at their products and compare their products with all the other rival products that are on offer. And they'll put them into this grid where they've got two axes. This one is high price, low price, basic quality, high quality. It can be things like convenience or speed or, I don't know, high tech, low tech. It can be anything that enables a business to try and plot exactly where they are in the market compared to their rivals. And the idea is to identify a gap in the market and try and fill that gap before other rivals fill that gap. So the problem there is sometimes there's a gap in the market because there's a reason that there's a gap in the market. Perhaps people don't want a product. I mean, for example here, high price, basic quality. Who's going to want a product that's high price, basic quality? So sometimes it's, even though there's a gap in the market, it's really hard to fill. And the problem with the market map is it might not have all of the different rivals on there. It might be out of date. I mean, we look at all the different shops that are closing at the moment. Toys R Us, they're going to be closing. So if we've got a market map on all the places that you can buy toys at the moment, you might find that Toys R Us looks as though it's the best bet, but give it a few months, it might not be around anymore. We're going to move on to the Boston Matrix now. Now the Boston Matrix is a product portfolio analysis tool. And when I say product portfolio, what I mean is basically, with an artist might have a portfolio of work that they've done. Basically, portfolio means a collection of products. So a Boston Matrix is when a business will have lots and lots of products that they sell. And instead of doing an individual product life cycle for every single product, which can be very time consuming, they can just basically group these products into general areas that define the type of product that they are. So a star. Now a star is something that's really successful. It's very, very popular. It might be something like, you remember when the loom bands first came in, all of a sudden they were really, really popular. And if you look at the left-hand axes here, market growth rate, what that means is how big is the market getting? For loom bands, the market just kept getting bigger and bigger. It meant that the demand was there. Lots of people wanted the product. At the bottom, we've got relative market share, and that market share is all about, of that market, how much share have we got? So there was a stage where loom bands were the star product to have because it was so popular. And if you could have a large amount of that market, you'd be laughing because you'd be having loads of money coming in. But of course, before it gets to that stage, you've got to go through the painful stage of problem child or question mark. And these are products that, to be honest, we don't know whether they're going to be a success or not. It could be, for example, whoever invented the loom bands, they tried to pitch it to some investors that looked at it and went, can't see any value in that whatsoever. But of course, a simple thing like that suddenly became the next best thing. So it's called a problem child because you can't really predict how it's going to go. The cash cow are products, again, I've used this plural of products, that are very established and they're bringing in lots of cash. So we're looking at things like Coca-Cola or Heinz baked beans. These are products that have been around for a long time. People want them. They might become a little less popular than they used to be, but they're certainly bringing in the money, and that's why they're called cash cows. You don't really have to do much with these products. They just bring the money into the business. And the nice thing about that, it brings the money in that you can spend on problem children or rising stars. And finally, we've got the dogs. Now, these are the products really that a business needs to get rid of. They're starting to cost a lot of money. Nobody really wants them anymore. It's a shame they call them dogs. I always feel sorry for the dogs, to be honest. But that's what it is as far as business is concerned. You've got a dog, you really need to get rid of it, and it's not really a product that you want to be spending any more time or energy over. So where are we now then? Okay, we're going to talk about branding. What is a brand? Well, a brand is a named product that customers see as being different from other products. So it might be something as a logo that they recognise, or just simply the name of the brand. And when you've got a brand that's launching new products, customers are more likely to try those new products if they recognise the brand. And they're more likely to be loyal to the product because of the brand. And they're more likely to have repeat purchase. If a business does not have branded items, there's nothing really there to differentiate them from the competition. There's very little difference between them and any other business. So a business really needs to think very carefully about how it promotes itself, that customers can recognise that brand and trust that brand. So this is where differentiation comes in. A brand often is differentiated because it makes it stand out from the crowd. So we're looking at things like having a unique name, or perhaps there's something that is appealing about the packaging, perhaps something you get good customer service with it, or perhaps it might be a product that the design of it is really super. It really does stand out from the crowd and make people want it. I'm going to share with you this diagram here. You might think, oh, what's she doing now, jumping about? But it made me think, how does the Boston Matrix fit in with the product life cycle? So if you look at the red line, that's your product life cycle, and at the bottom it's got introduction, growth, maturity, decline. But of course the product life cycle is for a single product. The words question mark, star, cash cow and dog are those groups of products that we would recognise from here, okay, but it just goes to show where those groups of products are in the product life cycle within their own rights. So question marks will be at the introduction stage, stars will be at the growth stage, cash cow will be at the maturity stage, and dog will be at the decline stage. But again, the Boston Matrix is for when a business has got more than one product. The product life cycle is for a single product. Okay, so that's quite a lot of talk, wasn't it? But when you look through, we've got through marketing, market segmentation, market research, we've gone through the marketing mix, the 4 Ps, product life cycle, market mapping, Boston Matrix, branding, differentiation. There's loads there. Don't forget to use Google Drive, there's loads on there. If there's anything you don't understand, just drop me an email and I shall be very, very happy to help. Thank you very much. If you made it this far through the video, thank you very much. There will be more to follow.